Hey guys, Trip here, and I've been thinking. RPGs have certainly given us some cool races to choose from, haven't they? We've got dwarves, robots, zombies, space zombies, high elves, wood elves, dark elves, space goats, and everything in between. My favorite thing about RPGs is the ability to explore a new culture, to immerse myself in the history, values, and motivations of creatures that are vastly different from us but still relatable. But then there's the default race. The normal race. The race that doesn't really have anything particularly strange or unique about it. The one that doesn't really seem to have a niche or anything they're particularly good at. If you haven't guessed by the title of this episode, I'm talking about humans. Now, I want to make clear that I'm not talking about stories where there are multiple human races, each with their own distinct culture, society, and political system. No. I'm talking about humans, the ones that are lumped together into a single group, the one-size-fits-all humans that seem to dominate the world for no particular reason. They contribute nothing, and it's time to stop using them. Now, I have my own personal bias here because I play games to explore other worlds. More often than not, humans just distract from that in my eyes. But I think this problem goes beyond my personal taste, and into the very foundation of world building. What do humans have to offer? Both from a narrative perspective and within the universe itself. What are they contributing? Is there anything they do particularly well? Is there any reason for humans to be a dominant species in a world with technologically advanced dwarves, magically advanced elves, and a plethora of monsters and demons? If you can't answer those questions, then maybe you need to reevaluate your humans. In every RPG, humans are distinguished by vagaries like their free spirits and cultural diversity. But what does this even mean, and how does it translate into the game world? Let's take the humans from Warcraft, for example. What do they actually contribute to the world of Azeroth? On the surface, the humans seem like they'd be interesting. In the lore, they're divided into 7 city-states, each with its own culture, motivation, and power base. But none of this translates into the world itself. Of the 7 kingdoms, every one of them has an identical art style, an identical accent, an identical physique, and an identical motivation, with the small exception of Gilneas and Dalaran. But even then, can you really tell me what separates them from the rest of the human nations, beyond an architectural difference, a magical affinity in the case of Dalaran, and a different accent in the case of Gilneas? When I was a kid playing WoW, I honestly thought the dwarves were the leaders of the Alliance. They live twice as long as humans, they're far more advanced, their economy seems far stronger, they're incredibly militarized and well suited for a military coalition. Their personality and culture makes them a far better counterpoint to the orcs, they're three-dimensional and flawed in all the right ways, and their capital is the most easily defendable place in the world. Comparatively, the humans really don't make a compelling case for why they should be in charge. What do they bring to the table? What can they do better than everyone else? Their only accomplishments are forced, barely explained, and seem to exist only to make them feel relevant. They're in charge simply because they're the humans, and that's how fantasy worlds work for some reason. This has to stop. It makes no sense to have a human race in your story if they bring nothing to the table. Do your humans have technology? Not as good as the dwarves. Do they have magic? Not as good as the elves. Do they have warriors? Not as good as the orcs. Do they have any distinct cultural traits? Not when compared to every other race in the world. But beyond anything else, putting generic humans in your story ignores everything that makes humanity interesting in real life. We're defined as a species by our differences, our creativity, our ability to relate to each other through a complex series of rituals and values we call culture. How, in any way, are the humans in RPGs like real humans at all? It seems like everything interesting about humans is appropriated by other races in the universe. In most RPGs, the non-humans are inspired by human cultures, leaving the actual humans with nothing to do. How did we get to a point where the non-human races are more human than the humans? I'd rather have a world filled with strange, creative alien species that are inspired by human cultures than a single human race with nothing to distinguish itself. Humans are a cop-out for developers who want a default race that's easily relatable. Rather than making their other races more relatable, they use humans as an easy out for players who don't feel connection to any other race. To an extent, I can understand this sentiment. In almost every RPG I've played, humans comprise the vast majority of players. But if you're going to use humans in your game world, at the very least you can make them as interesting as humans in real life. Dragon Age is the only RPG I've played where the humans are my favorite race. You never question what role they play in the world, or what allows them to compete with the other races, or what they add to the universe as a whole. We know why they became the dominant species in the first place. But most importantly, the humans in Dragon Age are interesting. Every nation except the Free Marches has a unique flavor to it. Each country is clearly inspired by a real-world culture taken to a bizarre extreme. They're not just generic, vaguely European stand-ins, they're nations with unique societies built upon existing cultures. This is how you do humans right. Humans can bring a lot to your story if you allow them to be just as strange, diverse, and intriguing as humans in real life. If you experiment with different cultures and religions, if you give them a clear purpose and role within your world, if you're not afraid to give them a unique skill or power, then humans can be just as interesting as anything else. So next time you're developing an RPG, or writing any kind of story, take some time to figure out where each race fits into the world, what they contribute to the overall story, and how they size up compared to other races in your world. But yeah, that was just something that was on my mind. Hey guys, Trip here. If you liked that video, why not watch some more? Hit that like button, and make sure to share this video on social media. Want to know my thoughts on the latest Warcraft expansion? Click here to check out my latest article on Comicsverse. If you want more Psychotrip, check out my Patreon. There you can find all of my videos, as well as links to articles I've written for Comicsverse. If you like what you see, think about donating $1 or $2. I love making videos, but I also love food. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.